Good morning. This is reading week 11 for Physics 2211. This week, the main physics idea was expanding on multiparticle systems. The videos began with how we should model friction. It's becoming more and more apparent that to begin any physics problem, we should write down the fundamental principle that we're going to build on for the rest of that problem. In doing so, we can break the energy change, or any other type of change depending on the problem, into parts that are each calculated a specific way. For example, as soon as we see delta K trans, we know that we calculate that like a point particle system, and the value doesn't change even if the system becomes multiparticle. In the problem for the first video, the other types of energy we were calculating was delta E thermal, as the surface of an object heats up when friction occurs. So this lets us model friction, which was the goal of the video. The video also mentioned asperities, which are pretty cool. They're what cause friction because the surfaces of objects are jagged and they're not smooth, and these jagged edges rub against each other and get locked into each other. This is, in general, still pretty new to me, this whole concept, because my previous physics experiences kind of ignored heat any chance they got, so in that case we would just ignore friction. The second video covered conservation of momentum. For a multiparticle system, the total momentum is the sum of all the individual momentums. Additionally, according to reciprocity, corresponding forces inside a system cancel out, leaving only external forces. So if there's no external force in a system, we could say that momentum is conserved, because the delta P would be 0 because the force would be 0. I'm fairly familiar with the conservation of momentum, so this was just more building on what I already knew than all new information. Momentum leads directly to the last topic, collisions. This was by far the most interesting topic discussed in the videos. There are two kinds we learned about, and a third I knew of prior to these videos: inelastic, elastic, and superelastic. Inelastic collisions are when kinetic energy is lost, but the objects gain thermal energy. Elastic collisions are when kinetic energy remains the same before, during, and after the collision. And superelastic collisions convert stored potential energy to kinetic, and so the resulting kinetic energy is actually higher than when you started. Personally, I like that one the most, but they're all pretty interesting in their own respect. However, this is why, if you don't know what kind of collision a collision is, you should not use the energy principle to figure that out, because if you calculate it and you think it's the wrong one, going off of your calculation, it can just cause problems if you accidentally assume something's elastic and it's not. But in terms of relating to my major, collisions are probably by far the closest related in terms of looking at if a chemical reaction is going to occur or how fast it's occurring. But on a different note, I've also seen the large machinery that polymers are created on, and friction or reducing friction is a big component of that, because they are not as strong as they look depending on the type of fiber it is, type of polymer. Some of them are quite fragile, and so with lots of friction they can tear easily, and that's not good. As for outside resources, I have recently discovered msuperl.org. When searching for more details on momentum on multiparticle systems, I ran across one of their articles, and it had a whole lecture, clear diagrams, mathematical equations, and clear explanations. This is pretty nice because it will be quicker to skim than the edX lectures, because the edX ones you have to actually go through and skim watch, which is harder than skim reading, to find the section you're looking for. Another resource is just YouTube videos in general. People who are passionate about physics do some great explanation. So that's interesting to watch. But this has been Reading Week 11 for Physics 2211. Thank you for watching.